What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm back in another video. This time I'm going to talk about Space Jam 2, the big time blockbuster movie featuring LeBron James. And I think if you love basketball as well as movies, you're most likely going to see this movie in the theaters or online streaming on HBO. Now whether you'll like the movie, that's a different question, as the critic reviews are already coming in, and it's not looking favorable for LeBron's big time movie. And before I get into the video, I just want to clarify, Space Jam 2 primarily is a kids movie and not made for adults, and really not made for anyone past the age of 12 or 13, so it is a kids movie and it's not made for adults. But with that being said, I think a lot of adults are going to have a hard time embracing this movie as the sequel to the original Space Jam. And very quickly, I want to break down why I think Space Jam 2: A New Legacy is going to struggle at the box office, and overall, it's going to be a pretty mediocre movie. So the first thing I want to look at is the big time star for this movie, and that is clearly LeBron James. And LeBron, if you don't know, has been in the NBA for 18 years, he's won 4 MVPs and multiple championships. But even with all that success, he is still one of the most hated players in the NBA. And quite frankly, he's probably the most hated player in the league, and the most hated player of all time.
Why do you hate LeBron?
I like LeBron.
You hate LeBron.
I do not. I think he's actually a very nice guy. In fact, I think he's too nice of a guy.
And Skip Bayless obviously is a notorious LeBron James hater. And if you want to get real about LeBron James hate, according to a Geo Twitter poll, he's the most hated player in the NBA in 26 different states. So having that guy headlining your movie could definitely be a problem. And I think when you contrast LeBron James going into Space Jam 2, being the most hated player in the league, with Michael Jordan back in '96, who is loved and admired by the majority of NBA fans and just the majority of people in the United States as well as the world. And MJ being likable is a big reason Space Jam was so successful back then and why it's been successful for 25 years. So once again, LeBron James hate, I believe, could be a big reason this movie tanks, because a lot of the fan reviews are done online and people can simply one-star the movie and just tank the overall rating. Now also, one reason I think Space Jam 2 won't be as successful is just common sense that sequels don't do as good as the original movie. And taking into account Space Jam was made 25 years ago and has had all that time to build itself up into a pop culture icon with tons of iconic moments, it's going to be very hard for LeBron's Space Jam to reach that level, let alone top it. And if you follow basketball closely, you know LeBron James has been getting compared to Jordan basically since day one, since he was a rookie. And I think this movie in a weird way is a microcosm of LeBron's career. He is once again trying to be Michael Jordan, and trying to be Michael Jordan is basically an impossible feat that you can never be successful at, as Jordan for basketball standards is basically perfection, and even if LeBron comes close, he's not going to reach that level of greatness. And once again, that's the theme of LeBron's career, getting compared to Jordan and always being cut down by those comparisons. So Space Jam 2 in a weird way is almost an analogy of LeBron's career, as once again, he's being compared to Jordan and trying to live up to those expectations. And just like on the court, LeBron James, he is great, but he's never truly going to fill Michael Jordan's shoes. Now, the last thing I have to say about Space Jam 2 is that I think it was made too late. I think this movie should have come out about 10 years ago, and they were teasing it for the longest time. They had numerous commercials and shoe ads, always teasing Space Jam as an upcoming movie.
Oh, brother, you need some of these, a lot of these, oh, and one of these.
Blake Griffin?
What'd you expect? Elmer Fudd?
That joke again.
And we basically got teased little commercials like that for close to 10 plus years, and Space Jam was always rumored to be coming out. And I think back in the 2010s, that would have been the perfect time for Space Jam to actually have a sequel, but I think now in 2021, it's a little bit late, and 25 years later is definitely pushing it for a sequel. And in my own personal opinion, I thought Kobe growing up, he actually was in Space Jam 2 in the lead for that movie, as he was the heir to Michael Jordan's throne, and he basically was Michael Jordan 2.0 for the kids of the 2000s. And once again, Kobe, unlike LeBron James, is not a polarizing figure and widely beloved by most NBA fans and just most people in general. And I don't want to tank this movie or ruin your experience if you like Space Jam 2, but for me personally, I think this movie is more geared to kids, and looking on Rotten Tomatoes right now, there's a 38% score, which for any movie is definitely below average and not great. And looking at some of the early reviews, they are pretty bad. This one review says, "Make no mistake, Space Jam and Legacy is painful to watch. Watching Space Jam and Legacy is like being trapped in an explosion at a paint store. the experience is visually painful and not funny at all. The team behind Space Jam: New Legacy has pulled off the impossible. They've taken two of the most dynamic, entertaining things on the entire planet and made them boring. James is clearly a better ball player than he is an actor. And the last review we have says, here's the thing about basketball, it's extremely watchable. Here's the thing about Space Jam: New Legacy, it's not. So I think those early reviews of Space Jam are pretty telling. I think this movie at best is a mediocre kids movie, and once again this movie is all fun, and it's not that serious for basketball standard. I just want to make this video very quickly because Space Jam is an iconic pop culture thing, and it basically has 25 plus years of history, and it is fairly important to basketball fans and just the overall basketball community. So with all that being said, that's my overall thoughts on Space Jam 2. I think it'll be a fairly good mediocre movie, but nothing compared to the original, which is iconic and so a big pop culture icon. So with that being said, that's my thoughts on Space Jam 2 and how successful or unsuccessful it'll be at the box office. As always, thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time.